Hi! 2016 ended last year, and now it's time for Oscars this year. So I figured this is the right time to talk about my top 10 favorite movies of 2016. Timely. Anyway. Oh, I act so awkward when the camera's turned on. I guess here's a couple of honorable mentions of movies that didn't quite make my top 10 list, but I think are still good movies. Because for some reason we need to number things. I don't know why. I really like Deadpool. I like Don't Breathe, which we have a review of it. You can see right there. I like the movie Hell or High Water. I thought that was quite a good movie. And I liked Finding Dory, La La Land, and Phantom Detective. Anyway, here's my top 10. As you can tell, this is gonna be a pretty casual video. I didn't script anything out. I'm just getting through these videos, or these movies.
He's gonna change his mind like halfway through the video and be like, no, actually, I hate all.
Okay, here's the thing about top 10 lists, just real briefly, is that I feel really confident about my top 5 movies in this list. Like, I feel comfortable with how they're ranked, how good I feel about them. 6 through 10 though, honestly, they're pretty interchangeable. So, you know, next week my top 10 list may be very different or swapped around. Maybe next week La La Land will be in the top 10. I don't know, probably not. But for right now, I'm recording this video. This is how my top 10 list is looking. Number 10 is Arrival, the film by this guy. And everyone likes this movie, so it's good. Number 9 is Eddie the Eagle. This movie's just really, really fun. It's an 80s feel-good sports movie. And I don't know, this isn't a deep movie. It's totally predictable. It's like every other kind of inspirational sports movie, but it's just so charming, and they're having such a fun time. And the 80s music, and Hugh Jackman running around, and that kid from Kingsman. I don't know, just watch this movie. You'll have fun with this movie. You can't, unless you're a stubborn ass, like, you have to smile during this movie the whole time. Number 8 is Hail Caesar. I'm definitely a bigger fan of the Coen Brothers' lighter comedic fare. For instance, my favorite Coen Brothers movie is Raising Arizona. Fargo's up there for me. Whereas a lot of their darker stuff is like, it's fine. I watched No Country for Old Men for the first time this year, and I'm like, it's a good movie. It's a fine movie. It's just not my cup of tea, personally, but it's fine. So Hail Caesar was just what I needed. It's a lot of fun. As with every other Coen Brothers movie, you have a whole bunch of coincidences happening together, and no one really knows what's going on. It's just a series of progressions or regressions, or whatever you want to call it, and it's very entertaining, very light. It's kind of like, you know, Eddie the Eagle, just a light, fun time. Don't dig too deeply into it. It goes for a certain thing, and it does it really, really well. So, Hail Caesar, great. Number 7 is 10 Cloverfield Lane, and this movie kind of came out of nowhere. No one was really expecting it, and it was a very tight, suspenseful thriller, which I wasn't really expecting. It was a lot better than I thought it was going to be. As everyone's been talking about, John Goodman's performance is great. It keeps you guessing the whole movie, what's actually going on. And the ending, which I won't go into spoilers, but the ending is very make or break for a lot of people with this movie. And for me, it's like, it doesn't quite work, but the rest of the movie works well enough that I feel like they've earned the ending that they went with. So, if you want a really suspenseful, tense thriller, go for this one. Even if you're not a big fan of sci-fi, as you might think of like, oh, it's Cloverfield, must be sci-fi, monster alien sort of thing, like that first Cloverfield movie. No, if you go in expecting that, you might be disappointed, because it's much more of a contained space thriller than like a big sci-fi movie. So, number 6, In a Valley of Violence. This is from Ty West, and again, if you want me to go into more detail about this, here is my review of that movie. Hopefully I remember to put a box there with the link to my video review, so I won't go into a whole lot about it, but an ode to spaghetti westerns. It's a lot of tension with moments of violence to punctuate the kind of the quietness. And sometimes it's very funny, and sometimes it's very frightening. So if you don't mind really violent movies, and you like thriller or westerns, not thrillers, everything's a thriller these days. Eddie the Eagle wasn't a thriller though, that was just a feel. Number 5 is Shin Godzilla. Godzilla is one of those things that I grew up with and watched a lot of as a kid. My dad was like, hey, you wanna watch the new Godzilla or the old Godzilla movie? You can check them out at the library. I'm like, sure, Godzilla versus Mothra and Mechagodzilla and all that great stuff. So I was really excited for the new Japanese Godzilla movie. And I think a lot of people were expecting something different, because when people think of the Japanese Godzilla movies, they think of the big guy in the puppet suit smashing buildings down and like, oh, it's a lot of action and sometimes comedy and stuff. But no, surprisingly, Shin Godzilla was it wasn't serious, it was a satire, but it's the focus is not on the monster. The focus is on how the people react to the monster, and it's kind of a satire of Japanese bureaucracy and how their experiences from World War II and the atomic bomb, and how that has shaped the civilization of who they are today, and how they act upon tragedies and emergencies, Godzilla-sized emergencies. And it's a very funny movie with guys in boardrooms talking a lot of time. And every once in a while, Godzilla pops in, or a Godzilla-like monster. So I think a lot of people going in expecting a big Godzilla movie were really disappointed. And they're like, oh, it's kind of boring, or whatnot. But even though it wasn't what I expected, it's so well done. And it's really, really funny, and it moves along very quickly. And if anything, it's thematically, it's closer to the original Godzilla movie, like the very first one back in the 50s, than anything we've had since. So, if you're interested in Godzilla, highly recommend checking this one out. So, that was great. Good job, people. When I first heard that Mel Gibson was making a movie called Hacksaw Ridge, before knowing anything about it, I was like, oh, I guess he's going into like torture porn horror films now? It's about time for Mel Gibson to, get into that. Hacksaw, which is like the 20th Saw movie. But no, Hacksaw Ridge is, it's like an old school war movie. When I say old school, I'm thinking more like late 90s, early 2000s, like We Were Soldiers. Except for Mel Gibson goes way overboard with the violence. Kind of weirdly comedic levels. People are gonna think like, what? He thought it funny? I mean, it's not funny, but when you have this schmaltzy love story with this religious guy, I'm gonna go, and then all of a sudden, like a guy's face gets blown off onto another guy's face. I mean, you're like, what? Where did this movie go all of a sudden? Where's the schmaltzy love story? But no, it's a really good movie. I'm not doing a very good job of selling this movie. It's a very, very, very well put together movie. Lighting, cinematography, the acting's fine. It's funny at moments, like not like Joe laughing at the horrors of war funny, but more like, it's a naked guy doing chin-ups. Okay, I gotta start talking about something else. This is not...
You're done.
I'm done talking about Hacksaw Ridge. Number 3! I'm really excited to talk about this one. Train to Busan. This is a Korean zombie movie. I was blindsided by the emotion of this movie. Maybe it's just because I'm kind of a newer dad, and this movie deals with a dad with a little girl trying to survive the zombie apocalypse, and it gets super emotional and like, protect her, hardcore stuff. But I think there's a lot to this movie beyond just the genre, because I love genre movies that take the extra step to try to tell a really good story and make characters that you care about. And even though the dad's kind of an asshole, that's all part of his arc. He's a neglectful dad. It's just, all right, get the girl to my ex-wife. She can see her for the weekend or whatever. And over the course of the movie, it's got to change. I'm not going to tell you how or why, but you got to watch the movie to find out. But it's good storytelling and good character developing, and you throw that into some of the best horror filmmaking. Not necessarily even super frightening. I mean, he's got some really frightening stuff in there, but the way they shoot these zombies They do some, they suddenly like spring up and move in unusual ways, and just very creative effects and camera work make this movie a hell of a ride. So it's extremely entertaining, especially if you're into these, zombie horror genre films. And then it does some very creative things with that and puts them in situations where you're like, oh, I hadn't thought about that. What if you're in this situation? How do you get out of that? And they got moved through the train, kind of like in Snowpiercer, only it's like Snowpiercer if every car was just full of zombies. And it's a blast. It's a blast and a legitimately great movie, and it made me cry. So, number 2, Ip Man 3. Going into this year, this was probably my most anticipated movie because I am a huge fan of the Ip Man series. I was a big fan of Donnie Yen. Plug another video if you want to see us talk about his very first movie, which is in no way related to Ip Man 3. Donnie Yen has created a character that for me is one of the most inspirational characters of modern cinema. And I know that he's based on a real guy, but without knowing about the real person all that much, the way Donnie Yen portrays him is just incredibly inspiring. And he is the sort of character that you want to live up to, but he isn't perfect. He's got problems, he's got things he needs to work through. And he can kick so much ass. He kicks like all the ass in this movie. Sounded kind of weird. If you Google this movie and you're like, well, Mike Tyson's in it. Mike Tyson can't. Don't worry. Mike Tyson's in like literally 2 scenes. And the big fight scene between him and Donnie Yen is, I don't know, a few minutes long. Don't worry about it. Mike Tyson isn't even like a huge focus of the movie. Watch the first Ip Man movie at the very least. You can skip number 2 if you want, and then watch number 3. And just the whole arc with his family and his relationship with his wife, everything is paid off, and it's beautiful, and the action is so cool. My number 1 movie of the year is Martin Scorsese's Silence. And by the time this video is up, hopefully it's still in some theaters, in which case, go see it. You will have an opinion about it. If you're Catholic, go see it. If you're not Catholic, go see it. If you're a person who loves movies, go see it. If you're a person who hates movies, then don't go see it. I don't need people making noises in the movie theater and being obnoxious because they hate movies. But for everyone else, if you enjoy movies, go see it. If you like thinking about things, go see it. It's not a message movie, is what I'm coming down to. It's not saying this thing is right or this thing is wrong. It's a guy just thinking out loud, but with millions of dollars and actors. Just kind of like, I don't know, this is how I think about faith and beliefs, but I'm not sure. So I'm gonna portray characters who think this way, I'm gonna portray characters who think this way. I'm not gonna demonize characters or raise them up as heroes. People are just people in this movie, and it's fascinating to watch, and it's given me hours to think about. I've been neglecting my family because I've been just sitting in some small dark room thinking about Silence, and then my wife divorced me because I wouldn't stop thinking about Silence, and then my kid grew up and went to college, and she's like, Dad, when can I see you again? I said, shut up, I'm thinking about Silence still. So yeah, it's one of those movies, so check it out. What were your top 10 movies of 2016? Why was I wrong? Why do you hate my face? Why do you wish that I scripted this out beforehand? Tell me about how horrible and a piece of shit I am. And ask me where are all my videos? Why don't I have more videos up here? And I'll say it's because I'm a lazy bum thinking about Silence all the time. That's why.